Well, Doc, uh, here we are. This is what it's come down to. We're 6 feet apart.
A little bit more than 6 feet apart, but Captain Brian, we're about 12 feet apart.
Yeah.
We're taking extra precaution. Captain Brian is a little hypochondriac, and I get it. I get it.
So tell me, Doc, what's going on? I mean, a lot of things that we talked about, and certainly things that you were preaching 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, maybe now, have come to fruition. And, you know, we've talked about some of the good. We've talked about, obviously, what was going to happen to the economy and things that happened in China before it came here. But tell me, where are we at now?
So, Captain Brian, unfortunately, I was hoping I was going to be wrong, and unfortunately, we were right. And I think the way I look at things, I think things are going to get a little bit worse in the next few weeks, and then things are going to improve. In this podcast, we're going to try to be positive. I'm going to share with our audience, all the positive things of what you need to do to try to prevent from getting it. I went over article after article, all from infectious disease experts in the world, and I made a consensus of what everybody is agreeing to that you should be doing at this point, Captain Brian.
So why don't we start with a couple pointers and tips that we can give our listeners right now, what they can be doing to stay safe, how they can increase their chances of prevention. I guess, everybody wants to know that.
Right. So number one, a new study showed that patients with type A
personality?
Type A personality, no. Type A blood type. So if you have a blood type A, for example, my blood type is O. I'm not sure if Captain Brian, you know your blood type. Do you know your blood type?
I do not, but aren't you available? Doesn't that mean you can do both?
No. O is the universal donor.
Right, universal donor. That's what I meant.
But patients with type A blood type, they are more susceptible for complication from the coronavirus.
Wow.
So this is the new study that came about. So that's just, but again, let's go over things that, scientists, and this is an experiment whether people are going to listen to scientists or they're going to listen to, CNN or Fox News. Listen to scientists. So again, number one, try to avoid crowded places. Social distance is extremely important. 6 feet apart, Captain Brian and I, we are 12 feet apart. That's why we have double cameras here and not to sit next to each other. So 6, wearing masks. When you look at China, at South Korea, at Singapore, a lot of those people are going outdoors. When they go to their supermarket, they go with masks. At the beginning, when everybody asked me about masks, I said, it doesn't make any sense right now.
Right.
But, the more patients we have with the coronavirus, the more you put yourself at risk.
So I'm thinking now that because there's so many more people that actually had the virus, it's airborne, right? So now, instead of just being in front of somebody who may be contagious, there could be particles in the air, correct?
And there are particles in the air, but if obviously that person has to sneeze or cough or anything like that, it's not just him walking here and there are particles in the air. So it comes from air droplets, and those air droplets are airborne. But overall, being safe, better safe than sorry, that sentence comes to fruition right now. If you're going to the supermarket and you want to wear gloves, I won't judge you. Maybe Captain Brian is going to judge you.
No judgment. No judge zone anymore. We're done.
You wear gloves, you're okay. You wear a mask, you're okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You wear a bandana, that's okay. Whatever suits you, whatever makes you feel protected, and whatever gives you a little bit more security that you are doing actually something for that. What else? Washing your hands. We did a great video about how to wash your hands. 45 seconds. 45 minutes, that's a little too long.
You'll be dying of dry hands before Corona if that's the problem.
We may have drought here. But 45 seconds washing your hands, soap and water. It does not have to be antibacterial soap, as we mentioned in our podcast before.
I read soaps that foam up, right?
Absolutely.
That's the idea.
Absolutely.
You need the foam.
Absolutely. And whenever you don't have access to water and running water and soap, all the hand sanitizer, Again, we did a great podcast about how to make a hand sanitizer for cheap, $1.50.
Absolutely.
Make your own hand sanitizer.
For a while, people were saying, oh, you can't make your own hand sanitizer because people were using bleach and all kinds of weird things that made no sense, right? So we put we put out the podcast on how to make your own hand sanitizer, and people were questioning it. Now, what does Governor Cuomo say? Oh, you can use alcohol as long as it's 60%. We can make it very cheap. This is how you do it. We did that 3 weeks ago.
Right. So again, don't touch your face. Whatever it takes, try not to touch your face. I mean, if what I do right now in the morning, I put a little bit extra lotion on my face. One, it will not dry, and two, it will remind me that I really don't want to touch my face. You know, and sometimes you feel like itchy. Your nose is itchy.
Right now, I'm going to try not to touch my face this entire podcast during this live stream.
Please pay attention. Watch Captain Brian's face. You let me know if he's touching your face.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, other infectious disease experts say, brush your teeth obviously twice a day, like we always say, but also now is the time to use maybe a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in water and wash your mouth.
An antiseptic, right? Something that's going to kill the virus. They say it lives in your throat. Is this true?
That's true. So it comes to your throat, and from your throat it goes to your lung. So if you catch it when it's in your throat and you're using alcohol, you're using, any antiseptic, you're using vinegar, you are going to wash your mouth, and then you can swallow that. No big deal.
Let me tell you this.
It cannot live in your stomach.
Let me tell you right now what after I talked to you about this, and I verified because I read some things online, and you said absolutely this makes sense to you, and that's a real thing. So this morning I woke up, I went to CVS.
Yeah.
Every shelf is stocked with antiseptic Listerine. There's no shortage.
Yeah.
They need to go and buy that, right? I'd say right now.
So you can make your own stuff, and we are going to do a podcast next week about how to make your own stuff. But this week, if you want to buy Listerine, if you want to do baking soda in water, if you would like to do apple cider vinegar in water, whatever it takes, do it yourself. But again, Listerine is not expensive, and use it.
And gargle on the back of your throat, right?
Absolutely.
You want to kill that virus if it's in there.
And obviously Listerine, you have to spit it out. So that swallowing, there
was one question I have, Doc, and you can answer. I'm sure you can make this clear to the listeners and myself. What about the ones that say alcohol-free? Are those not the right ones?
Right now, so we, the mayor of Captain Brian and I, about a year ago, did a podcast about brushing your teeth and mouth hygiene.
Correct.
We recommended not to use alcohol when you do that, or not to use because it dries your mouth. But right now is coronavirus era. So in this era, alcohol is okay. Same as, when I say sun exposure, and we'll talk about sun exposure, extremely important to have at least half an hour of unprotected sun exposure. When I say unprotected, I don't mean put a condom on yourself. I mean, don't put any sunblock on yourself. Why? Because you need to activate a vitamin called vitamin D. And the only way to activate it is to be in the sun. So I recommend being in the sun for at least half an hour. Besides the fact it's good for you, good for your, not to get depressed.
It's good for your soul.
And we live in Florida. We are blessed to live in Florida. And for those that live elsewhere in the country that are watching our podcast, please try to find half an hour to be a little bit of sun is good enough. What else I have on the list here? So again, wash your mouth. Drink lots of water. Every 15 to 20 minutes, drink some water. Drink 1 squeeze lemon every day. Again, vitamin C. We'll talk a little bit more about vitamin C, but overall, it's very good for you.
Can I interrupt you with the water?
Yes.
Again, I know nothing about. I am not a doctor. Sure. This is why I have a professional. So now they're saying that you should not drink cold liquids. Is this a thing where if you're drinking water, it should be warm?
Yes. So overall, hydration is extremely important. It's better to drink cold water than anything else. But it's true that the virus itself does not survive in warm temperature. It does not survive if you put warm water in yourself or you put hot tea or anything like that. So I would encourage people, now is the time to do hot tea, warmer water or anything like that.
Go away from iced coffee, go back to hot coffee.
Hot coffee is the way to go.
Yes.
That's what I've been drinking.
That's what I did.
Absolutely. Me too. And again, all the advices here, we preach what we practice what we preach. This is not like, we're playing it differently. We are doing it, Captain Brian and I, everything we talk about, that's what we are doing.
And before I preach and practice, I ask you.
And he does, and he experiment on himself first, by the way. So take vitamin D, extremely important. How many units? 10,000 units daily. Take vitamin
10,000?
10,000 units, right. Which is the normal dose.
The normal dose, okay. Okay.
Vitamin C, again, 1 gram of vitamin C is ideal. So if you want to use Emergency or any brand, you can do that. If you want some lemon or oranges or tangerine, that's fine too. And obviously, if you do develop the COVID-19, the coronavirus disease, then you have to go to higher doses. And we're going to do a whole podcast if you do develop. I just hope that, this is not going to come to fruition, that we'll have a lot of our audience with that disease. But if you do, we're going to do a whole podcast of what to do if you have the disease. Avoid sugar. We talked about it 2 months ago. Avoid sugar. Why? Bacteria, viruses, all of them, they love sugar. That's what they grow on. So cut down on refined sugar.
Doc, what about zinc?
Yeah.
I went to the store today to buy zinc because I'm reading that that's one of the best things we could do. Is this true?
Absolutely.
There was none.
What?
No zinc.
No zinc. So I take zinc every day, and I take a little bit copper with that. Obviously there's a shortage now, but I do take zinc and copper.
So let me ask you a question, and I don't even know if this is relevant or not. So when you say copper,
yes,
the virus lives on copper the shortest. Does that have something to do with it?
No.
A copper surface?
But overall, metallic surface, we're not sure why, because maybe metallic surfaces are a little bit colder. When you touch the door handle, it's a little colder, and it likes colder temperature. We're not sure why, but it does live for longest time on plastic and metallic properties. So on the door handle, they say up to 9 days it can live on that. Yeah. So that's extremely important. Again, sleep 7-8 hours. We did a whole podcast. Everything we talk about, we did podcast on. It's just, unfortunately, it's a prophecy. Exercise. Now is the time to exercise at home. Obviously, all gyms are closed, and exercise at home. Do some push-ups, do some pull-ups, do anything, sit-ups, whatever it takes. Start on Sunday, I cleaned the entire house, the floors. And
oh, you were trying to get laid, or you were trying to clean the house?
Both. I was trying to do something good for the house, and I was hoping for some reward.
Nice.
And we'll do a whole podcast where I got the reward.
We do rewards too, right? We do the podcast.
I'm on the point system, Captain Brian. I'm a lot in the red, but I'm trying to get from time to time to the black.
Oh my goodness.
So exercise at home. Eat healthy food. Whatever it takes. Now is the time to eat not processed food. Healthy food as much as you can. And make your own food, of course. And Captain Brian, you put plenty of podcasts and plenty of videos about how to cook. And you cook. You are a great chef. You cook on your own. And in your restaurant when you guys were open, and you guys are going to be open soon. There's no question about it. And
we're going to work it.
Remember to support local businesses.
Absolutely.
We have to support local businesses. And don't. And one more thing, is very, very important, Captain Brian. Don't use fever-lowering drugs. Don't use Tylenol, aspirin, Motrin, Advil, Aleve, anything like that. Why? Again, the idea of you getting
even fever, Tylenol. I think before we said Tylenol was okay.
Before we said Tylenol is okay, so new studies show don't take even Tylenol. Why?
Really?
You want to get that fever. That fever killed the virus. Your fever is the way your body is reacting. You don't want to lower your temperature. You want to keep that temperature up. And now, obviously, if it reaches 103, then 102, 103, you have to lower it. But again, those patients that had been using aspirin, Motrin, Advil, Aleve, those patients did not do very well. So listen to your doctor. Also, don't use any steroids. Now, prednisone, all this stuff, patients did not do well. Your immune system is depressed when you're using steroids, and you need to boost your immune system. What else I have that? So don't use any fever-lowering medication.
How relevant is this information? Did you just literally, I know you, but I want the listeners to understand.
Yeah.
This information is from the past 24 hours?
This information is from the past 24 hours to 1 week. So in the last week, we have been gathering a lot of information, and we learned from our colleagues. We learned from our colleagues in Singapore, in Korea, in Italy, in Israel, in China. These are people that experts in the field, virologists, infectious disease experts, that are putting a list of all the things. And again, we share that. Why? Because in medicine, if you keep it to yourself, this is not the time to be selfish. This is the time to share. This is the time to be united and to take care, because this is all going to pass. And 3 months from now, we are going to be judged according to the way we behave. And this is the time to share all this information. So please, this podcast, share it with your friends, what to do and what not to do. We are not done yet, Captain Brian. So hydration, extremely, extremely important. Hot tea, the Chinese had showed us, drink all the time. Have hot tea, drink it every 15 minutes, put it in your mouth and drink it. What else? So what else I have here on the list? So some doctors, some infectious disease doctors recommend to use, the hair dryer you use on your face and on your nose every half an hour or so to warm things up and maybe kill viruses. I haven't seen it in a lot of doctors, but I've seen some doctors, that infectious disease doctors, in those epicenters that recommend that.
And you feel personally, your personal opinion?
My personal opinion is a little bit mixed. I mean, obviously this is not, you cannot do it every 15 minutes. It's just
Correct.
not feasible.
Although you're home and you're quarantined.
If you're home and you're quarantined and you have the ability to do that, sure. But if you're home and quarantined, you're really at low risk of developing this. This is really designed for people that leave the house for some reason. Either they, like myself, my office is open because I want my patients to avoid the emergency room. So as a result, I should be using it, but obviously I haven't been doing that.
Doc, we missed a question I thought was a great question last week. Someone asked us on our podcast. They sent us a message. They actually commented under one of the videos and said, I just bought a high intensity steamer.
Yeah.
And I want to go around and steam everything. Now I'm thinking, damn, that's probably a legit idea. What do you think?
If you have a steamer and you want to steam your floors and stuff like that, sure. But again, you're not touching your floors as much as.
But the clothing steamers,
and there's no question that coronavirus sticks to your clothes. So when I come home, the first thing I do, I drop off all my clothes right at the door. My shoes stay outside. There are no shoes in the house. There were no shoes in the house before coronavirus, but now definitely no shoes in the house. Nothing else. And the first thing I do, I take a shower. I don't have any hair, as you notice. Do you notice that?
I can't tell. Let me see.
I have no hair. But people with hair, they should wash their hair every day. So the first thing you come home, take a shower, wash your hair. And my wife washes her hair every single day. Every single day, Captain Brian. And what else? So some new medication medication that there are some tests that are doing. A couple of them are malaria medication, hydrochloroquine, and as well as azithromycin, which is an antibiotic. So
Azithromax is the traditional Z-Pack, right? For people that don't understand that.
That's correct. Azithromycin is the traditional Z-Pack. The Z-Pack is the brand name. Azithromycin, it's a very, very cheap antibiotics. Don't take those medication unless you get the coronavirus. I want to emphasize this. If you take it, there are side effects. There is no reason for you. It will not prevent you from getting it. But if you get it, again, these are not big studies, but there are some literature about that patients that took it, they got the coronavirus, they took those medication, they were quote-unquote cured from the coronavirus. If you guys want to know the exact dose, DM us and we'll give you the exact dose of the medication.
They just ordered in New York, right? 100,000
correct
orders of each.
And that's not enough for New York City.
Of course.
I mean, unfortunately, New York City is another epicenter. So New York City is going to need all the help in the world, and we're definitely praying for them. I think that overall, Captain Brian, unless you have a question there, overall, I think we covered, what you need to do to try to prevent from getting that. And next week we're going to do a podcast. If you get it, what you should do, to survive it.
Well, this is the Captain's Log. Dr. Daller once again bringing us the latest and greatest information. Unfortunately, it's not a very happy time, but at least we have the knowledge now. You can always ask us on DMs. You can comment below these videos. This is the Captain's Log. We're live every week, and we're here for you if you need us. Thank you so much, Doc. I appreciate it. As always, the best.
My pleasure.